Okay, so you're here and you're starting to, whether you're visiting us from State of the Spark or Spark Sites or Spark Bookkeeping, and you might have seen our Facebook, start your first Facebook ad in under 30 minutes video. This video is going to parallel a lot. It's going to be even shorter. It's going to, if I had a rough title for this, it's Start Your First LinkedIn Ad in under 30 minutes, but honestly, it could be under 20 minutes, and I'm going to show you why in a quick second. So I'm going to share my screen and actually walk you through your first LinkedIn ad and getting that up and running for your target audience. So let's just go ahead and do that. So we have our LinkedIn screen right here. We've got a lot of other stuff going on. Let's just close out any distractions here. Here we go. So we're on the home screen for LinkedIn, and it's quite simple. You click advertise. If you don't have this button there, then go ahead and type in campaign manager /accounts. But if you click advertise, it's going to bring up that page. If you have not created a LinkedIn campaign ad account yet, go ahead and click create account, follow those steps. And it's just a simple wizard. And then once you do have a campaign, an account, you're going to be in the campaign screen. And then you create a campaign group. Here's a pro tip. Right now, you can see right here, I do not do a lot of LinkedIn advertising right now. And I did some LinkedIn advertising in another account, but what you're seeing is a raw account. Now, what I'd recommend, you manage your groups very tightly. And if you're part of the Spark Goals and Gratitude group or the Spark Training Coaching and Mastermind, Small Business Mastermind that I do, you might have seen a document that we have called the iPerp. And the iPerp is it's kind of a dashboard for your business. It's the product rollout plan for coaches and entrepreneurs and trainers, but it also applies to almost any small business. And it's got kind of a dashboard of different stages by which people can engage your business. I would name your campaign account very narrowly. So if you want to test a certain product or a certain service or a department of your company, even if you're a company of one, if you want to make sure that you're collecting data about one particular area of the company, pick a campaign group and rename that campaign group according to that. So for example, for Spark Coaching and Training, I might actually name this campaign group Training space or hyphen course space hyphen 01. And then all the ads that pertain to Spark Training for the first video course would be managed right here. And this way I can always see what's converting and actually manage that particular funnel. Then if I had, for example, an ebook for Spark Training, that next campaign group would be called Spark Training hyphen ebook. And then all the ads that I have pertaining to that ebook would be there. And the goal is to optimize until you find a good ad that converts for a good season of time so you can actually focus in. So that's how I would manage campaigns. But for now, just create a default campaign group. And once it's created, then click in. And now we're in that campaign group. So now we need to just create a campaign. Now, the thing I wanted to point out is if you followed our Facebook ad in under 30 minutes video, you might have seen a very similar set of options. Now, with LinkedIn ads, it's more limited in terms of its options. And if you want guidance, you just hover. But for right now, especially with your first LinkedIn ad, ignore everything other than brand awareness. Now go ahead and click brand awareness, and similar to the Facebook ad manager, you kind of have a table of contents going down the line or a syllabus going down the line right there, and you're just following along. So now let's look at audience, because audience, as you recall from the Facebook ad in under 30 minutes course, audience is the most important thing you want to spend the most amount of time on. So let's take a look at that. Now, I've pre-populated some things here for you as it comes to audiences. And the thing I like about LinkedIn better than Facebook is the audiences are even more granular. And a lot of the users, if you think about how you have used LinkedIn, a lot of the users on the front end have gone much more detail to talk about their skills, what they're good at, Because when it started, LinkedIn was a resume builder and a business networker. And so the targeting, especially when it comes to you targeting your services. So I'm going to use the example for Spark Training. I've done a lot of examples with Spark Sites or Spark Bookkeeping, which is managed by other people. But my focus right now is executive coaching and training. So in terms of audiences, under new audiences, because this is your first LinkedIn ad, again, there's a lot you can ignore, but you want to take your time here. I am allowing it to create a new audience. As with Facebook, you could actually use a past saved audience, or you could do pre-made LinkedIn audiences. That's for the next level. That's level 102 or 202. Right now, we're in 101. So for my target audience, I start with where my audience is. So in my example right now, and honestly, I would go wider than this. I would go to, I am in Lakeland, Florida, which is nestled between Tampa and Orlando. But I added basically some area cities that I'm going to focus my money on, my advertising money. But I probably, especially as it comes to my workshops, expand to Tampa and Western Orlando a bit. But for now, for the sake of illustration, I've selected Lakeland, my hometown, Lakeland Highlands, a very nearby suburb, Bartow, Winter Haven, and Mulberry, all very close other cities. You can even get very specific and say, I don't want to target, say, for example, Mulberry or what have you. You can get very narrow there. I'm also selecting English. So I mean, you can target if you're multilingual or bilingual, you can select other languages. But right now, I want to include people who have any of the following attributes. Now, because I am focusing on executive coaching and training. For coaching clients, I know that I serve clients that have built businesses of $500,000 in annual revenue and more, or people that are passionate entrepreneurs or small business owners with a current vision, meaning they're basically in transition. I'm only going to serve those two audiences. Now, the first one's easier to find, but if you think about it, how do I target these ads? It's a little bit of a pot shot, and I need to experiment some. So you can see I first added the job title as entrepreneur, and then it pre-populated a few others, which I also selected: founders, chief executive, co-founders. And then I also added I basically said to the search, and include them only if they also have any of the following attributes. They have interests in business and management. I want to point this out to you. I don't have to select all of business management. I could open up this menu, and let's say, for example, I'm thinking of Robert Borer, who's been a client for Spark Sites, and we've done a little bit of training together. He is what amounts to a quality specialist, but he's so much more than that. But let's say, for example, he doesn't want to necessarily work with the guy or gal in accounting or even business ethics. That would be wasted advertising dollars. He might want to work specifically with business intelligence. He might also want to work specifically with project and program management, which has a few extra: risk management and agile. Let's get rid of agile and let's add risk management. And then he also wants to check out work environments, which could be hot desking. He could actually zero in on, let's actually focus in on, I don't know, hot desking. Now, I know in Robert Bohr's case, that's not a match. I'm trying to illustrate how detailed you can drill down in terms of your niche. In Robert Bohr's case, he has been Six Sigma, but again, he has his own program for his company known as Streamalign, and he might know exactly the mental or the demographic or the psychographic profile or the professional profile of the procurement people who would hire a consultant like him to come in. I know a good friend, Shane Mahoney. Shane Mahoney might zero in his ads on business travel and add specific ads towards business travel. And then you can see that as I add groups, it adjusts my target size over here, and it will show you roughly what the segment breakdown is of the people you might reach with a 30-day budget. I might do a 7-day budget for so much money, and we'll set the budgets later in a second. You can tell it's a little more expensive here, but it's far more targeted. So for coaching, let's actually select some groups for coaching because, again, I'm a small business coach. Let's select some groups for coaching and show you what that might look like. So I went ahead and I've selected a few groups that really are targeted for me as a small business coach. So I went down and I searched business interest, and I searched under, for example, business mediation, and that came up with entrepreneurship and startups. So let's see what else here is available to me. So business management, business administration. When I clicked in, I had access to human resources. Just so you can see, in human resources, I selected continuing professional development, performance management. A procurement person might want to hire a small business coach or a sales coach for those exact reasons. Under people management, I selected leadership development. And again, under business admin, I selected business mediation, professional networking, and they had a group called Starting a Business. So I clicked into that and selected entrepreneurship and startups. It's a very narrow group for me. And then I know that I have about 2.3 million people in my area alone who have shown that they would be interested. And this is estimates, of course, based on my profile and what people are looking at. So that's how you kind of select an audience. And then you want to make sure that you save as a template, because I really think I like this. So let's call this Spark Coaching. Let's just get that lower. Coaching audience. Boom. And let's just call it 1. And then I'm just going to leave it blank, and I'm going to click save. I can use that audience later. Fantastic. Now for ad format. There's a lot going on here, and we could get really crazy, especially if you have high quality video ads. That's fantastic. If you have a lot of good stuff, that's great. But for now, ignore all of that. Just do the single image ad. Placement. Now, we could get very detailed here. Reach up to 25% more of your target audience by running your ads on LinkedIn and our partner networks. You know what? I could just leave that, but I could go in and drill down and get very specific. Ignore all of that. Click Enable. Budget and scale. Now, this is where you really make the difference here. I could reach 2.3 million people, but I'm going to set a daily budget. And honestly, small business people can't probably afford $50 a day. What happens if I do $10 a day? Well, my audience reach stays the same. My 7-day spend adjusts a little bit. My 7-day impressions. And I honestly don't recommend you go longer than 7 days until you have a good grasp of what's going on with your messaging and with your conversion. So I've got $10 a day. If I start this today, great. I'm going to set a start and end date. And look, they were going to try to take me for a ride and set a full month out. Man, forget that. Today is what, the 30th? Great. I'm just going to run it for about 7 days. And it's telling me, great, I'm looking at spending a total of about $66 to $100. And I'm going to get about 35 to 96 clicks, they estimate. Think about this real quick. If you could spend $100 on your local networking group, you might encounter 50 people at the next networking event, but how many of those 50 people, from dog walkers to greeting card specialists to, nail technicians, how many of those people actually fit your target audience? For me, I've already said that on my coaching, on my small business coaching, people that have reached $500,000 in revenue or are passionate entrepreneurial people in transition. I want to be in front of those people. And let's say I took the time with my audience to really craft that. That's fantastic. Would I spend $100 to hone in on that there instead of $100 at the next networking event? You bet your pants. I absolutely would spend that money. So automatic bid, leave it alone. You could set this time for shorter if you wanted to. If you wanted to iterate your ads, like if you wanted to learn from your ads much more quickly, you could adjust the date. But 7 days is fine. I'm willing to spend about $100 to get about 35 to 96 clicks, actual clicks of people that I know are more targeted. Measure the actions members take on your website after clicking or viewing your ad. Great. So they're going to actually give me a tracking code here, which I will get into later. This is kind of like what's known as a Facebook pixel. I actually have this tracking code on my website already. I don't really need to bother with it right now. So again, for now, you can ignore it. But in my case, I actually already have it set up, and you can track if people click, if they go into your website, if they submit a form, but you can ignore that for now. This is 101. The most important 2 things so far are your audience, you can ignore lots of other stuff, and the ad format, you can ignore lots of other stuff, and your budget. Make sure they don't take you for a ride and charge you for an entire month. You want to make sure you're iterating your ad more frequently than that. And I'm just going to click next. Yeah, let's save this sucker and move on. So now we're in the ad campaign. Create a new ad. I'm going to assume you used canva.com to create the ad you wanted to create. And this has given me a great idea for another service we're launching with Spark Sites. I need to get that ad up and running and stick it in here. No problem. But let's just say, let's browse existing content. Bummer, no content. Hang on, I'm going to pause and get a piece of content in here. So what I did briefly there when I jumped away is I clicked create new ad. I filled this information out. I dropped my link. You probably want a link to your actual landing page. This is just to the home page. It auto-populated the graphic. I auto-populated the headline. I should actually change this to Spark Training with state of the Spark. And I'm just going to click create. Again, I would actually spend more time honing the image and manually uploading a particular image. I would spend more time with the lingo and the copy. For the purposes of this illustration, I'm just blazing through this because I'm showing you how it goes. So let's see. Yep, we've just created a new ad. You can see that we're creating a new ad. Now, I did get an error here on the budget and schedule. So let's actually see if we can get more information on our error here. The budget at least needs to be $19.25. Okay, so let's actually set our budget to $20. And it says I'm going to spend between 130 and 190. So I'm going to actually tighten up my bandwidth because I'm spending a little more. So I want to go to fewer days so I can iterate quickly. If I'm going to spend more money, that's great. I'm still going to get 31 to 84 clicks, but they're requiring you that you at least spend $20 a day. I can live with that. So let's go to next. We've created this ad. Again, just so you know, I don't think this is a good ad. I would actually go back, name the ad appropriately, integrated with the product or service I was focused on. I'd get very granular, make sure it aligned with the campaign name. Remember that you have a campaign name that you're working from. But let's go ahead and click next. Brand awareness, include these. So this is basically summarizing our order. And boom, it's ready to go, launch campaign. Again, I don't like this ad, so I'm not going to click launch. But look at this. I've walked you through. There's so many parallels between this and Facebook ads. The advantage of LinkedIn, and I cannot hit this home enough, the advantage of LinkedIn is that you're able to get into the psychology of your target clients in an even more direct way. The leads coming from this are going to be much more higher quality than Facebook, especially if you're in a B2B service or even product-based business. In fact, I'm so encouraged by even this tutorial myself that I have a few pieces of material that I've never actually put on LinkedIn, but I'm going to turn around and put on LinkedIn. And don't be surprised if you see this come up in your feed and check out our coming services for Spark Coaching, Spark Mastermind. So that's coming soon. But I'm very encouraged because of how granular I can get here, even compared to Facebook, which is great compared to Google Ads. Google Ads is like way over here. Facebook's there, but LinkedIn ads looks on point. So I'm going to run an example like this very soon as we get off this video. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I would say that this has even been your first LinkedIn ad in under 15 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Please feel free to ask your questions below or join the Spark Sites business owners. And Spark Sites own a website with Spark Sites. Post your questions there, or I'm also going to post this with the Facebook Goals and Gratitude group for our Spark Coaching Mastermind. If you're part of that group, I'm going to post this video there too. Please ask your questions. We'll troubleshoot your business. This is the most affordable, professional, custom small business coaching you can get. Thank you again. I hope this has been helpful. Please let us know what your questions are and get your marketing going.